Oh, and it looks like we are live, man. Every single time I come back and I haven't been here a while, I still get the jitters. I get nervous. I'm like, man, I hope I say the right thing. Hope everybody's having a great day out there. I know it's about to be 5 o'clock for us here in the Northeast. So obviously, don't be on Facebook if you're driving. Definitely pin this to listen to this at another time. Maybe you'll watch it with a significant other. If you are tuning in live, I do appreciate you all for taking the time to be with me. So let's go ahead and get started. First and foremost, I have missed everybody. I've missed doing this. It's so crazy, right? Because everything we talk about it just always goes to show that we're human, right? Life happens, things happen. Life can just get so crazy, especially in today's day and age. But the best thing that we can do is continue to move forward, right? Why do we fall? So we can get back up. I think I got that from an anime or something that I watched when I was younger, but it still applies today. If you guys don't know who I am, my name is Will Zapata. I've been having the pleasure of for the last 10 years helping families convert their home and basically free themselves from the utility company, convert their homes over into solar, and basically build a solid foundation so they can build a legacy for themselves. I know that that is the journey that I am on. I plan to be on that journey hopefully for like the next like 56 years. That would be that would be super ideal. And the only way that I'm going to be able to build a legacy, the only way that I'm going to be able to build something that lasts longer than me and when my bones turn to dust is basically by taking an opportunity and building things step by step. So for today, we're actually going to have a real deal topic. I want to come in close and I want to talk about how to basically use momentum when nothing seems like it's going your way. I'm sure that we've all been in that situation, right? Where it's like, you're trying everything, you're doing the workouts, you're doing the diet, maybe you're trying something with your significant other and it just seems like it's not working, right? But one of the things that I always tell myself is that momentum is not going to come from these huge wins or these like huge changes. Basically, momentum, the way that you build it is being able to do something even when you don't feel like it and do it bit by bit. And the reason why we're so raw here is because the way that I look at it is I never want to come off as somebody that's just relaying information or just telling you something that sounds like out of thin air. Actual person, father, business owner, trying to figure out just like we all are. And, we understand that we all go through things in life. Some of us have it, harder, some of us have it easier, but either way, we all have things that we need to overcome. And I'm sure that there are many, many, many times where we get up in the morning and we wonder, why are we doing this? Why do we even have to get up? Why can't things just be easy, right? Oh, why can't I? This is my favorite. Why can't I go back to being a kid again? Right? If I could go back and realize how hard adulthood is or adulting is, I would have definitely taken much more opportunities for me to be able to be a kid, and enjoy myself, with the least amount of responsibilities that I have, right? But the reason why we're here, the reason why we created this Beyond the Solar series is so that way we can all lead and, help one another. I'm a big proponent is that, we were all given these incredible gifts by the Creator in order for us to empower and to serve our fellow man. So when it comes to being able to, create momentum or build momentum or just be able to just take it one step further, the first thing that I like to do is I look at it from a stoic approach, or I look at it from like a stoic perspective. I always tell myself that things that are great, they don't happen overnight. Things that last a long time, they take an extreme amount of energy, an extreme amount of thought when it comes to building something. And that's the same way that we have to approach the way that we look at things. Over the week, I've been speaking with my team and I've been, kind of reflecting and, I was looking at a chart and I'm like, if I have an opportunity to live as long as my grandfather lived, my grandfather is 89 years old right now, still kicking, right? But I'm like, if I make it that far, there's still so much things that I have way more ahead of me for me to accomplish, right? There are still so many things in life that I need to learn. There are still so many things that I have to go through in order for me to feel like I've hit where I feel like I should be. And to be honest, probably knowing myself, I'm probably gonna wanna, go for more, right? We all go through these different seasons in our life, whether it's the winter time, whether it's the summertime, whether it's the fall time, or whether it's the springtime. We have different seasons that we're going through in our lives. Overall, life is an ever changing season. There are people that right now you might be in your winter, things are hard, things are tough. There are people that are in their spring where they're planting the seeds that are needed, right? There are people that, it's in the summertime, life is just great, it can never have been better, right? There are some people that are in the fall, they're able to give back, they're able to enjoy the fruits of their labor. So whenever it comes to me building momentum, I understand that things are going to take time. I like to take a stoic approach to things. Stoicism is probably one of my favorite things. Huge into philosophy, and I like to look at it. I'm like, okay, what is the one thing that I can do today that is going to make the biggest impact in my life? That's, one of the biggest questions I like to ask myself. Usually the answer has something to do with my child. How can I be a better father? How can I be, somebody that my son, is proud of? I'm always thinking about, how to make sure that I'm a strong father to my daughter. How do I make sure that I'm a great example for her? So my children is always the things that basically they humble me, they bring me down to earth, and they let me know how precious life is. They let me know how important my role is, in the sense of like I have to continue to be a fighter, I have to continue to improve. And I look at it as like, okay, over the long term, what is something that I can build and take it day by day that's going to make me and my family lives better? So first approach when it comes to building momentum, when life is just beating you, and like I said, trust me, I could be here for hours and I could complain, and I have a lot of things that I want to vent out to. Trust me, I do. I wish I had more friends. But like, that's the way that I approach things. I like to look at it like, okay, what are the things that I can control, and double and triple down on that, and just focus on, okay, I know that this is just one of the many steps that I'm taking in my long journey. I'm hoping that we call this thing life, right? The other thing that I like to do is look at the small wins. For me, I always like to start my day, if I can work out, right? Work out, but also with a journal entry. And in my journal entry, one of the things that I do is I give thanks and I give gratitude for the things that I have. I'm a big believer that when you can reshape your mind or refocus your attention on the things that you do have, especially when they're fundamental things, where they're things that, like, hey, do you have food in your belly? Do you have people that love you? And do you have shelter and protection from the weather? You're probably one of the luckiest people on planet Earth, right? Probably one of the luckiest creatures, right? Which, when you have it every single day, those things might seem like they're minute, but in the grand scheme of things, in the fundamental things that you need to survive, those are probably the most powerful things that you can have. I can guarantee you that right now, if you were to have your oxygen cut off, you would give anything to be able to take another breath, to be able to have that air, fill your lungs, right? And that's the same way that I look at it with the small wins. I tell myself, all right, right, what's the first win that my body can do? Working out. That's why I'm a big proponent of getting movement done. I'm a big proponent of, working out. I'm a big proponent of, always trying to improve on your physical capabilities, because you have to give your body a win. The other thing is, how do you give your mind a wind, right? Like, do you maybe journal? Do you maybe reflect? Do you maybe have a moment of gratitude? Do you meditate? Whatever it is that makes sense for you. For me, I'm terrible at meditating. I wish I was better at it. I like to meditate when I run. It is my opportunity to speak with the creator, and that's when I take advantage of it. And what was a win in your mission, right? Whether your mission is, hey, I'm going to do one more thing in my business. Hey, I'm going to be more present with my child. Hey, I'm going to be more present with my partner, right? Those are all little micro wins that you can give yourself to let you know that, like, yo, you are moving forward, right? It may not be maybe at the pace that you anticipated it, right? It may not be based on what you see other people accomplishing, and I put it in quotation marks because in today's day and age, I feel like it is so much easier for somebody to fake the funk than to be real. One of the things and one of the missions I have for myself is like, I just want to be real, right? I hate going on social media and looking at the same things over and over again, the same repeat message, the same memes. It just gets tiring. For me, I want to be raw dog. I want to be real. I want to, hey man, if I'm able to, go live today, I will. That is my mission. I want to be of service to other people. I want to be able to get to know other people out there. I love the opportunity to share what I know. I'll do it. But if I can't because my son is going crazy or it's just one of those days, then I can't. But at least you know that one of my goals is always to be real with you guys, which is why I love the idea of being able to be of service to other people, especially if you can take it from a point of understanding where they're coming from, right? Um, the other portion is reframing the word stuck. Um, you know, I learned this a long time ago. It feels like a long time ago, and this was my first ever sales job, right? And I remember somebody was giving a speech and they were talking about orchids. And they were mentioning how the orchids, whenever they bloom, they're very beautiful flowers. If you've never seen the orchids, and I'm pretty sure you can just Google it now and see it, but you don't ever get mad at the orchid if it doesn't have if it's not blooming or if it has a seed, right? Or you don't get mad at the leaves when they fall on the trees, right? Or whatever the case might be, something that you might see in nature. You don't get mad, when the grass is lower or whatever. Like, the whole point that I'm trying to make is that you never feel like the world around you is stuck. And that's the same thing with you. Just because you're not at the moment or in the position where you think that you need to be, it does not mean that, hey, you're doing the wrong things, or you're stuck, or things are not gonna work. And trust me, I have to tell myself that every single day. I'm not saying it because I got it all figured out. I'm not saying it because, oh, do what I do. Or I say it because I can understand exactly where a lot of people are coming from. And I want to have the approach of being genuine and being honest about it, right? So, you're not stuck. You're in the position that you're actually meant to be. There's got to be something that you need to have in a breakthrough. I know for me, I'll tell you, in my business, I'm like, okay, what is the breakthrough where I can create a stronger relationship with the clients, right? How can I actually have clients come to me? Which in business, it's like what we would all want, right? But we know that it's possible, right? Apple, I'm pretty sure they don't need a sales team because they have diehard fans. I'm like, how can I be able to do that? How am I able to have people that, they can be my diehard fans and I can be of service to them, right? There's an equal exchange of value. But again, there's just something that you have to overcome in order for you to get there. That's why diamonds are made under so much pressure, under so much heat, under so much, trauma. That's why it makes diamonds and people value them, because you understand, what it takes in order to create them. That's why they're so important. And probably some great marketing, right? Nothing wrong with it. This other point is really close to my heart when it comes to what to do whenever you are feeling in a situation where you feel stuck, or you need to build momentum, or you just want to give up. I learned this again in my first ever sales job. But if you don't feel like quitting twice a week, you're not working hard enough. And when you feel that way, the biggest thing, is always remembering, what your purpose is. Thinking about what's the reason why you're doing this. What is the reason why you're going through this hardship? Why are you staying up so late? Why are you, going on a diet? Why are you wanting to be healthier? Why are you saving? Whatever it is as to why your why is, you want to think about, like, okay, what's that purpose? For me, I always think about my children. Like, I gotta tell you, man, every single time I want to give up and I want to quit, I always think about my daughter. And I think about, what do I want my daughter to say about her father, right? Like, I want her to say that her father's a soldier. I want her to say that her father never gave up. I want her to say that her father was incredible. When it comes to my son, I want my son to look at somebody that has been through hardship but continued moving forward. I want my son to be able to see the metaphysical and even the physical scars when it came to building a life that, we can all enjoy and all take advantage of. I think about just, what are my children going to say about me if I quit? And then most importantly, and this is something that I've been saying more, as I say, what is the 50-year-old Will going to say, right? Like, when I don't want to work out or I'm trying to be lazy, I'm like, okay, but what is the 50-year-old Will going to say? Is he going to want you to, not be in shape? Is he going to want you to not be able to take care of yourself? Is he going to want you to not be able to provide and be an example to your family? No, right? So in order for that not to happen, you have to do the things today that are going to be able to create the life that you want tomorrow, right? It's kind of, I go back to my stoic approach, but I have a very like long-term thought when it comes to many things. I was fortunate enough, to be honest, where I feel like I was not gifted with any innate talents. I think the only talent that I have is that I'm so hard-headed. I don't know when to give up. And I just, to me, I just feel like I've always had to work harder than other people, and it's the creator has done that for two reasons. One, to humble me, because I can be arrogant. But the second part is to give me the skills and the tools to actually create a life where I can be free, right? Freedom is the most important thing for me. And for me, having the freedom to be with my children, having the freedom to be their teacher, to be their mentor, to be somebody that they can look up to, and for me to be able to make my children proud, that is my purpose. Um, Coming along here, discipline, right? Listen, man. Um, we can say discipline in so many ways, but here's the best way that I would connect discipline, especially using as momentum, and it's just having self-respect for yourself. For me, I always, say that I'm like, I feel like I'm deserving of more. I feel like I deserve to live the life that I want to live, that I should be able to look the way that I want to look, that I should be able to partake certain values on my children. And I feel like the only way that I can do that is by having discipline. Sometimes when we look at discipline or we think things like, oh, I gotta work out, or I don't want to eat this, or I gotta eat this that I don't like, right? We start thinking about it like, oh, there's some kind of negotiation that's happening, or you're gonna stop being motivated, or whatever the case might be. But really, what it is, those are things because you respect yourself, right? You wouldn't allow somebody to put, bad thoughts inside of you. You wouldn't allow somebody to, put their hands on you, right? You wouldn't allow somebody to say bad things about you. Like, the discipline is the same way, right? It's like, hey, I wouldn't allow myself to, let's say, not practice physical activities. I'm not going to disrespect myself by not expanding on my learning, right? Especially having access to so much information now. Like, why would I disrespect myself by not trying to be the best version of who I am, right? Like you guys know, I grew up on a lot of like anime and cartoons, and the people that I've always looked up to were the guys and the gals that just never gave up. That's why I love Batman, because Batman is, to me, the example of what being a peak human actually means, right? Aside from the money, I know everybody always thinks it's the money, but it's really not, right? It's like you being able to operate at the greatest level. It's you having an immense amount of willpower. For those of us that grew up watching Dragon Ball Z, right, you always knew that Goku and Vegeta took a lot of L's, right? But they got back up. They kept going. They kept moving, and that's what I respected the most, man. We always respect the people that never gave up. We respect the people that just went ahead and did it, right? Which leads to my other point is just start, man. Like, no matter like if you're watching this, even if people are not watching this, look, I'll be honest. When I started to, kind of put myself out there again, I was like, I'm pretty sure nobody's probably gonna watch this, right? Probably most people are not gonna watch this for God knows how long. And if they do watch it, I just hope that they get something out of it. But just start, man. Like that's the best way to build momentum. Just start, and if you started, keep going, and if you fall, get back up. But don't give up on yourself, man, because at the end of the day, like, remember, you were created on this planet to do incredible things, regardless of what society tries to tell you, regardless of what pressures we put on ourselves, regardless of what box we try to confine ourselves in. We were not meant to do that. There was something that we were meant to do, right? We all have a purpose. That purpose might change throughout our lifetime, nothing wrong with it, but you were designed to be the best version of yourself. The last thing that you want to do in life is be on your deathbed, have no more time, and then have a ton of regrets. That is the last position that you want to be. You want to be able to, have the least amount of regrets as possible. And when it's your time to cross into the next plane, you're like, all right, I'm ready to go, right? I lived an incredible life. This physical plane was amazing. I loved it. I'm ready to be accepted into the next level of what I think the afterlife is, right? That's the way that you want to live your life. You want to live your life full of power, full of purpose, full of, just wonderful things that you left behind, full of legacy, for lack of a better term. So I do hope that you were able to find some sort of value in what we were saying today. I do appreciate you guys for being patient with me, right? Especially if even me, I haven't been the most consistent in the last few weeks. But again, that's why we fall, right? So we can get back up. That's what, creating momentum means. When things feel stuck, you just keep going because you have no other choice. You just keep going. It's part of the process. I just want to be successful, like somebody once said. So I do appreciate you guys for taking the time to meet with me. I hope that everybody has a great rest of your day. Be safe out there. I hope you start the last part of your days incredibly. And I hope everybody has a blessed day. Take care.